PDCA you apply to other processes. PDCA is also in statistical process control. PDCA is also in Six Sigma, right? It's as if you have this PDCA as a Deming methodology defined by, developed, actually, let's say developed by Deming. And that is used in statistical process control and Six Sigma. And you can see elements of that defined, for example, can be similar to plan, measure and analyze is where you're doing, collecting data, improve is where you're acting on that data, and control is you are checking and controlling, right? This is now this is a process development methodology. It's a process development method that uses Six Sigma as a benchmark to reach. Okay, so Six Sigma is not something that is it's not a process that you apply. You can't say, oh, we will apply Six Sigma and it will improve our processes. It doesn't work like that. Okay, you actually need to do this, right? All this. Okay, so you need to develop your process, if you like, continuous. Yeah? Continuous is the keyword development method that uses Six Sigma as a benchmark.
What is benchmark?
To reach.
Like for what?
Something you reach. Yeah? Okay. It's therefore an industry standard benchmark for the improvement of quality. Historically developed by Motorola because they were in the business of manufacturing TV screens, and a lot of TV screens failed. 80% of the products had to be reworked, and there was a lot of wastage. So the Japanese took over Motorola, and within 1 year, increased the quality to 68% by applying methodologies of process control. And therefore, that's where this comes from. It's a benchmark of high standard of process quality control process, right? So therefore, when you look at this, what I just showed you here, and you go and look at this, what is Six Sigma, and the Six Sigma handbook, you will see that these are methods which can be employed not only in manufacturing, as we were just talking with Audrey, it can also be employed in the service industries. Okay, not only in manufacturing, you can use this, and then you can actually go on courses now to become Six Sigma qualified. What does that mean? You learn how to apply this to your industry. Yeah? You learn what is it that you need to define in the process, what to measure and analyze, okay, what areas to improve. The idea is that each of these stages, when the process is in action, the process has many variables. Okay? Let us just take an example from manufacturing. So you have a bottle which has 1.5 liters of water in it with a top, okay, and a label. Plastic, right? So you have the bottle, you have the top, you have the label, and you have the product inside, which has to be of a certain volume. So that process in action has a lot of variables that are taking place where wastage could result. So one of the areas could be to reduce waste, to increase efficiency, to make the product more, from the point of view of customer orientation or competitiveness, more suitable in those areas. So to do those, you collect the different data variables to see how they are performing. Then you have got the data. You analyze this data as a statistical methodology like the normal distribution. And you check your standard deviations to see, well, what standard deviation am I working on? And then you see, is it Six Sigma? If not, well, what is going wrong? And then you carry on this. So this is a continuous improvement method, yeah, to reach a benchmark. Right? So Six Sigma is a benchmark. Don't get confused to say that Six Sigma is a process. Right? The process is DMAIC. When you carry out a process, you need a standard that you want to reach. Formula One racing drivers have a standard, a benchmark that they want to reach, the time, say, around the circuit. Now, to reach that time, they need to ensure that there is a whole area of processes taking place around them, around the driver sitting in that car, going around that circuit. So therefore, racing, by the way, applies Six Sigma. Yeah, process control as well. So this is the idea behind Six Sigma. So please have a look at more of this. For a 1,500 word section 1, I'm not going to spend a whole lecture on Six Sigma. We can, we can do examples and so on. We do Six Sigma sometimes a whole semester. But for this part, we can check these two. And that's the video, so there's more there as well. Okay, what about part 2 of your assignment? Now, if you go to the brief, let's look at part 2 now. Look at the assignment brief. You will find that part 2, the manufacturer produces a specialist product known simply as Product S for the Ministry of Defence. An order has been received for the supply of 400 units of Product X in period 4 and 500 units of Product X in period 5. So you have Product X in 2 periods. Period 4 and period 5. Now the production of 1 unit of product X requires 1 unit of Y and 2 units of Z. So there is some components going into making product X, right? And there is some data there. And it says using the information provided and the table below, right? This table here, 3 tables which are blank with just a few bits of numbers. You are supposed to complete the table. So if I want to produce 400, how much of X will I order? How much of Y will I order? How much of Z will I order? Okay. Now, then, is this all, you might say? Well, just complete these 3 tables and be done with part 2? Yes, essentially. With a introduction, tables, and conclusion.
Introduction as well, for the
A
second.
little bit, yeah. I'll tell you what.
So basically, no comments, just simple maths. And that's all.
Simple completion of tables, a few lines as an intro, and a final line as a few lines as a. That's it.
A conclusion or?
6 lines. Conclusion. 4 line introduction. Okay. So what is it? Do you need some theory to complete those tables? Yes, you do. Right, very basic theory on inventory management. Inventory management. How inventory is managed in manufacturing okay? Because this is about manufacturing. It's not about some process or something happening in an office. You are manufacturing, a manufacturer produces a specialist product, and it's known as X, right? And the order has been received for supply of 400 units of X in period 4 and 500 units of X in period 5. The production of 1 unit of X requires 1 unit of Y and 2 units of Z. So, the manufacturing of product, let's just call it X. So, 1 unit of product X requires, very simply, 1 component of Y and 2 units of 1 unit of component X and 2 units of component Z. So, in here, input is 2 components that go in here. You have 1 unit of component Y goes into there, and 2 units of Z. Okay, just to give you an overview. It's about this one.
Bruce, you need to produce 1 unit of product X. You need to
How much you need to produce, I'm going to write up here. How much of this do we need? I will tell you. It's in the brief, but we can write it up here. So, how much needs to be manufactured? It says the Ministry of Defence requires an order has been received 400 units of product X in period 4. Order received 400 units of X in period 4, and you have 500 units of X in period 5. Right, that's the order that has been received. Now, using the information provided and the table, complete a materials requirement plan for 500 words. Right? So you are required to complete a materials requirement plan. That's all that MRP. Okay, and if you look at that, on the other side, you have product X, component Y, and component Z. Those two going into here. So if I'm going to manufacture in period 4, if I want to make 400 units of X, I'm going to need 400 units of Y.
Yes,
And 800 units of Z going in.
and that goes under the gross requirement.
Okay, so that will come in a minute. So we'll have a look at what we mean by gross requirements, stock on hand, net requirements, place order. I'll explain all that later so you don't get confused on how to complete this table. Right, so is everyone clear on what you have to do? Right, so let's see how you're going to structure this part. Structure will be on your side. Structure of part 2. Now it's 500 words, not including the table, because the table is full of numbers. So what do you do for an introduction here? It's on inventory management. You see my highlighted block? Right at the bottom here, the last link is a PowerPoint slide, right, this one, and it's all on inventory management. This one. So probably because we don't have PowerPoint here. We do, here it is. That's all you need to look at. Right? Don't look at the hundreds of other links I have here on supply chain management, because you don't need to worry. This is specifically sent from Teesside University because that's what they're using. They're doing the same assignment, you see. And here, you will see everything about inventory management. All this. I'm going to go through this. I don't want you to look at it. I will go through these slides. But this is what we're going to use. So what are we going to write in the introduction? Now, last time around, people are asking me, do we need an introduction to part 1 and another introduction to part 2? Yes, because they are quite different. Right? Part 1 is about quality management. Part 2 is about inventory. So don't stick just one introduction in part 1 and 2 together. Keep it separate. Okay, all this part 2. Like you have for economics, question 1, question 2, question 3, question separate. So here in the introduction, just what is inventory management and what factors do you need to take into account when managing inventory? Okay, that's enough. If you answer that, it's enough for introduction. Then you have your tables of calculation. Okay, as the assignment brief. Okay. Well, you might be, yes, but you don't know how to fill those in. I mean, what does all this mean? We will do that. Don't worry about that. That's coming. We just give you the structure. Then conclusion. So what do you write in the conclusion? In the conclusion, your conclusion has to relate to this question. Because it doesn't, there's no general thing about it. The conclusion has to say, well, if they want 400 units of X in period 4 and 500 units of X in period 5, do they have enough of Y and Z, or do they need to order? How much do they need to order, and what do they need to be aware of when ordering? Okay, so here, in your conclusion, you summarize the answers to the tables. Tables 1, 2, 3. Summarize the answers to the tables in part 3. And comment what the Ministry, is it the Ministry of Defence or Manufacturing?
Yes.
Yeah, so what the Ministry of Defence needs to be aware of.
The tables in part 3? Reading part 3.
Oh, sorry, 2. Thank you. And what the MOD needs to be aware of. So the conclusion relates specifically to the calculation, okay? Be aware of that. Let me just put that in red. The conclusion specifically to the calculation. Okay, we don't need to write anything general about here. The general bit's already been done here. This is the general bit here. Okay? What is inventory management? You don't need to relate this to the MOD thing in question. You just talk general. And this is coming from my PowerPoint slides. When you finish that, you will have enough material on this. You don't need to go anywhere else. Okay. If you want to stay in a happy state, then just stick with the PowerPoint presentation. Resist the temptation to go and search by a God. Okay. You know, God's sole purpose for humanity is to test us. That means God is going to send every single possible rough time we can absolutely imagine down our way. So if you go to God, Google, you bet times are going to be tough. Okay. I should write how to write assignment guide for students, should I?
But it would be a good guide.
Yeah,
Yes.
animation. You could start with what kind of life you want to live. This is fun. This you can do on one evening after finishing a bottle of red wine over Christmas.
It's gonna be easier after a while.
Huh?
It's gonna be easier to finish
Absolutely.
after a while.
Happy.
Something.
Happy state for an assignment. Why be stressed? Tummy full, bottle of wine sozzled down, feet up, do part two of the assignment. Don't send it to me though, okay? Do it after because I will not look at it because I'll be in the same state as you. So this is your part two. We have a lesson next week. And next week I will finish off this PowerPoint which you see right. You apart from Andre, you have all done this before in MFRD. Yeah, it's called the economic order quantity.
What's it called?
Economic order quantity. EOQ method for stock control inventory.
No.
Right? If you haven't done it in MFRD with Cherry, then you must have done it in MFRD with me. If you did MFRD with me, but I doubt that any of you did MFRD with me.
I did.
We did,
I did.
yeah.
You
We
did?
all did.
Combined.
Oh, God, yeah. That's ancient stuff.
Yeah.
About 10 years ago, wasn't it?
Oh. We don't study here for that long.
The
Yes.
funniest one.
Yeah.
Is it
Scary.
like
10 years ago, huh? But it's okay.
So just for the final time, let's go economic.
Order quantity. Don't need to, it's all here. It's coming.
Oh.
It's all here. That's it for today.
Oh, you're not gonna explain what's across the
No, we're
fire?
not doing this. Very relaxed.